Hello and welcome to ED203 General Elementary Methods. Let's go over what this course is about and what the requirements are and expectations for you. Let's see if I can get it to. There we go. Okay, the main topics. Honoring our diverse classrooms because it's important that we get to know each other, meaning our students and their cultural backgrounds and their interests and their strengths and their challenges if we're going to be able to successfully support their learning. And so that is the main topic. Yeah, we're going to be learning how to plan lessons and to design thematic unit plans and everything really exciting, and how to think about how students learn best and to facilitate that learning. But we are going to start, and the focus will always be who are our students and how can we take that into account, who they are, when we're planning their instruction and guiding their learning. So these are the main topics, right? Understanding the diversity in our classrooms, strategies for engaging students. You're going to learn a lot about the brain, and you're going to learn a lot about, like I said, how to plan lessons, complete a lesson plan, complete a whole thematic unit for a week of learning. So you're going to learn so much in this class. It's incredible. So what do you have to do to be successful in this class? You got to put in the work, like Gordon Ramsay says. So you need to be reading every week, watching the videos, reading the book, the articles, everything that's posted on our Moodle page. And then there will be, from that, when you're reading and watching the videos, you really need to be taking serious notes. It's better if those notes are taken by hand. So if you can just get yourself an old-fashioned notebook and a pencil or a pen and take notes that way, it's far better. You will remember it. There's a lot of research there. You will remember it better if you write it by hand than if you type it. So as a future teacher, keep that in mind, because having your students work on Chromebooks and iPads is not as beneficial as having them do the old-fashioned taking notes, writing, etc. So something to keep in mind. If you want, I talk about that actually a lot more in elementary math methods. And so you'll get some good research on that backs up that whole point. But for the time being, just get yourself an old-fashioned notebook and take good notes on what you're reading and reflecting on. You want to be thinking about all of what you're learning here, because there's going to be a lot. There's going to be weekly assignments, probably 2, sometimes more, but usually it's about 2 a week. 1 on the reading that you've done in the book, and then something else, like maybe it's designing a lesson plan. Maybe it's actually just creating a video about who you are, what's important to you, and maybe something on your bucket list. But there are a few things for you to do every week, and you want to stay on top of that. Like I said, you'll learn how to write lesson plans, and you'll have to submit a few of those. And our final will be creating a thematic unit plan, which is a week's worth of learning across all different content areas using one theme, like the Olympics or dinosaurs or global warming. There's so many themes you can choose from, and I'll give you some examples when we get there. The book you're going to use is Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain by Zaretta Hammond. She is an absolute genius. She has synthesized what we know from neuroscience about the brain and how it learns, and how it responds to different environmental situations, whether that be stress or happiness, right? Togetherness and acceptance. And so she's taken that, what neuroscience now knows, and has combined it with what we know about what helps people from other different cultures to feel accepted and welcomed. And she's going to show you that when students from different cultures, whether it's a culture from another country, so someone that's moved here from Vietnam uh, or Mexico, or even someone that's has always lived in this country, but is Black, brown, other BIPOC um, uh, cultures. There is there is specific cultural understanding that we have to have as teachers in order to be as effective as we can be. So she combines that with what we know about the brain, with what we know about good teaching practices. And the way she delivers this is just going to blow your mind. It's so interesting. You're going to learn tons. So definitely get that notebook ready and sharpen that pencil. One of the coolest things, actually, I'm going to go back. One of the coolest things that you're going to start with is is listening to a podcast where she's interviewed, and I think this is so helpful to not just read the print of what someone has to say, but to actually hear their own voice. And so I was so happy when I found that podcast. There's two parts to it, and I just think that you're going to find what she has to say even more compelling because you'll get to hear a lot of it from her in her own words, in her own voice. Okay, so what else do you have to do? Every week, consult the syllabus. I've actually made it easier for you in that I have taken, in every syllabus, there's a table of how you can prepare for each week. And so what I've done is I've taken those expectations for each week and I've put it at the top of every week on our Moodle page. And so it'll say week one expectations and it'll say everything that you have to do for that week. Read out of the chapter, answer the questions to after reading the chapter about what you've read, and so on. I still want you to go back and read that syllabus and take it seriously because these are all the goals that we have for the syllabus. It also lays out the policies that we have in terms of academic integrity. You're going to be writing lesson plans, and then we'll talk later on about about using AI and teachers pay teachers and other resources that you have at your disposal, but you have to use them with integrity, meaning you don't want to just use AI to develop a lesson plan for you and submit it as is. You need to use AI if you're going to, you don't have to, but if you choose to use AI or teachers pay teachers, you need to use it as an idea generator and then do the work yourself. Think about, is this going to suit the purpose of this lesson, right? Because a lot of times it won't. You're going to have to tweak it. So anyway, read all those policies, the goals for the course so that you can set yourself up for success. If you have any questions at all, always email me, please. I will respond within 48 hours. Okay, the other thing you have to do is you have to consult the Moodle page, right? Every week, couple times a week, you're going to be going to your Moodle page and, okay, what do I have to do next for this week? And stay on top of it. And if something comes up, because life happens to all of us, I know that. If something comes up and you're unsure of something or you have something happen in your family or work or whatever, and you need more time for assignment, email me. Far better to email me ahead of time and say, hey, can I have an extra couple days on this assignment? This has happened. Absolutely. I will never say no. But if you don't submit an assignment on time, and, then I'm wondering, okay, what's going on? Right. So, and then I've got to deduct if you don't get it in by the deadline, I've got to reduce your grade, and I don't want to do that. So just communicate with me about how you're doing. If you need more time, you can always get it. Okay, one of the things that you're going to learn in this course is how to build community. And that's really important. And we do that a lot through morning meetings. What are morning meetings? Morning meetings are an opportunity for the whole class to get together and to get to know one another and to get comfortable with one another and to accept one another and appreciate one another. Why do we do this? We do this because we want our students to feel comfortable so that they are ready to learn. Kids come in with a lot. There's a lot of things that happen during the school day that will upset kids. And you must know that anytime emotions, you'll learn about this through Hammond with her chapter on the brain. Anytime our emotions get involved or start getting stronger, especially negative emotions or fearful emotions, it blocks our learning, our ability to learn. So we want all of our students to feel calm, happy, accepted, and welcome in our classroom. And morning meetings is one way we can do that. And so a typical format might be like everybody sits around in a circle. You take a minute to just do some calm breathing. That's always a great thing to teach your students because they need tools for regulating their emotions, right? So teach them how to take a minute of calm to breathe. And there are so many great tools on YouTube on how to do this. You can then do, okay, for a fist to 5, how are you today? 5 is, I am outstanding. I feel fantastic today. 0 is, I'm having a terrible day. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, everything in between, right? 1 might be, I'm exhausted today. That thunderstorm kept me up. I am not having a great day at all. I don't want to be here. I just want to be back in bed. 3, 4 might be, I'm pretty good, but not sure, about something that's going on with a friend of mine, whatever. Kids can just show you fist to 5 how they're feeling, and that will give you kind of a temperature of the room. Then kids can go around and they can share a little more detail. Maybe it's about how they're feeling. Maybe it's about what they did that weekend. And then kids can go around and do a greeting, right? So they can go and they can say, hi, Josiah, and high five them. How are you today? Have a great day, right? And then that goes around the circle. And that does so much. I know from my own experience, it's been a game changer. I did this years ago before there was ever a morning meeting concept. I did this out of desperation with a group of junior high students that I had in an alternative school for emotionally disturbed adolescents that were living with a lot of trauma and came in with a lot on their hearts every day. And getting them to sit down and be able to focus on math was not going to happen. It just didn't happen. And so finally, out of desperation, I was like, all right, everybody, let's just circle up and talk. And so it took some time, right? Just talking about what they wanted to talk about. Over time, it made them feel so much more relaxed that they were able to learn. And so we did that every day. And so you're going to find that it's a really good tool to have in your toolbox. There are great examples on our Moodle page of teachers using this in elementary classrooms. So go and watch those. They're just a few minutes each. And you're just going to see how well these work in creating a great community in your classroom. What is culture? Why should teachers be responsive to it? Why do we have a book that focuses on culture and not just learning in general? Um, well, it's really important because as you're going to learn from this book, it can impact how teachers view their students and how students think they are perceived by others, whether it be their teacher or their classmates. It also impacts how students view themselves and their potential to learn. So it's really important that we understand the impact of culture and what it means for us as teachers. Hammond does this just brilliantly. So you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn a lot about your own biases, reflect on those. So what I want you to do, Charles Payne states in this introduction that you're reading for this week, that there's been so much reform in education, and yet there's so many places where things have not changed. And stereotypes, stereotype threat, implicit biases, these still exist in our classrooms, and they don't have to. But it's going to take real focus, intentional focus on your part, and reflection. This is what Hammond asks you to do, to really reflect on these things. And so you're going to be reflecting a lot this semester. Um, so what are you going to be reflecting on? You're going to be reflecting on the things that she's teaching you, how it fits with what you already know, how to apply it in different situations you have in your classrooms, and to your own thinking. Here's a couple examples of how former students, Millikan alum, who have been out there teaching for a number of years now, think about reflection. They still do it every single day. Megan, she was a third grade teacher. She's actually now a special ed administrator for her district in a Chicago suburb. And she suggests after a lesson, reflect on what could you do differently, and how did the students respond? She uses Post-its a lot for her students to say how well they thought a lesson went so they could give her feedback, and then she reads them at the end of the day. And she also suggests keeping a journal and always recording the positives first. As teachers, we're always thinking how we can do things better, right? But focus first thing on what went well. She said it's really nice to look back on that and to feel good about that. And it helps you to bring things into your evaluation materials when you get evaluated by your administrator. Here's Adriana Laskowski. She's actually not Laskowski anymore because she's married and has 3 children. And she actually was a 4th grade teacher, but now she's a ESL teacher. And she says, you're reflecting in real time. How is this going? Like, you're taking the temperature of the room. Thumbs up, students, thumbs sideways, thumbs down. How is this? Do you want me to do another problem? Do you want me to, are you feeling good about this? Or do you want me to do another problem? Or are you really confused and we need to just back up and do some more instruction on this? So always be taking the pulse of your classroom and reflecting that way all the time. And she also gives the advice of don't expect things to work out the way you want them to the first time. First time is kind of your trial run, to be honest. And so you're always going to be trying to figure out how to do things better. But like Megan says, what went well first? Look at that first. And finally, we have advice from Laura Bernisen. She's over here in the at the end. And she started out as a special ed teacher. She's now a vice principal in the Springfield School District. And she suggests using Google Docs for everything. She finds that has been a really great tool for her. Because you can put in notes, you can change lesson plans from year to year, like tweak how you're going to do something differently the next time. So it's ready to go, right? You don't have to remember, oh yeah, what was I going to change, from last year? So she says Google Docs is the way to go for all of her lesson planning, note taking, reflecting. So that's her advice to you. She too says, don't be hard on yourself when you're thinking about how can I make it better. Sometimes it's going to take longer to teach than you expect. Sometimes you're going to breeze right through things. You never know. That's going to actually vary year to year. Expect there to be challenges and changes that you're going to have to make every year, but especially your first year or two. Okay, so I want you to be thinking now, we've been thinking kind of like, how am I going to use reflection as a teacher in the future? But what are you going to be reflecting on this year, right? Moving forward, you're going to be reflecting on all your learning in this course, but beyond that, how are you synthesizing what you're learning in all of your courses, in your field work? Have a way to reflect on all of this because that will serve you very well as you create your teacher persona. So that's it. I know it's a little longer than I had hoped. But I hope that it's really set the stage for you. You're going to be learning a lot, but I'm here to support you in that learning.